I'm going to talk a little bit about Lewis Carroll. He was an English poet who lived from January 27th, 1832 to January 14th, 1898, and he was born in Daresbury, Cheshire, which is in England, obviously, and he was born into a family of 11 kids. His father was a pastor, or a deacon, they called it back then, at a church called Christ Church, which he would later attend. He would later attend the college there at Christ Church. Anyway, he was the first boy of 11 kids. He was very secluded. He didn't want to talk to anybody. He was very isolated. He would only hang out with his sisters. He had 6 sisters. He was he loved to tell them stories. He loved to constantly entertain them with different poems and different short stories that he wrote or that he made up. He loved to show that to them, especially his 6 sisters, and they loved it too. So even at an early age, you could really tell that Lewis Carroll was really bound to be a poet, because he he loved doing it so much to his sisters. As he grew older, he started to go to school. He went to a school called Rugby School, where it is said that he was sexually abused by his teachers. However, amidst the sexual abuse, he did very well in class. He excelled and got straight A's, and was recommended to go to Oxford, but like the church they went to, Christ Church, was the college was involved with Oxford. I'm not exactly sure whether directly or indirectly, but anyway, he went to the college at Christ Church, and there he was a mathematician, and he wrote many books as a mathematics. He wrote many books as a mathematician rather. He wasn't a very good one, is what the historians say. He was sort of mediocre at best. He did invent some very interesting stuff that we still use today. However, he was a mediocre mathematician. And about when he was 23 years old, he started to become interested in, he started to come up with poetry again. And I say again because when he was younger, he with his sisters, he was always making up poems and short stories and stuff. So he started to pick up that again, and as he wrote and wrote, he started to become more and more popular. He would put his poems in the newspaper and stuff, and they loved him. Everybody loved him. So he started to publish all his poems. He started to write short stories, and his first big breakthrough was Alice in Wonderland. As we all know, Alice in Wonderland. They made a movie, and maybe several movies about it, but yes, he did write that, and the inspiration from that was this little girl known as Alice. That's her name. He was very fond of her. He liked her very much. There is speculation as to if he was a molester. He again, speculation. It's not completely 100%. However, according to many of his diary entries and historians, it is pointing in that direction, unfortunately. However, he was very good friends with this little girl named Alice, and whether or not he was a molester, she seemed to like him a lot too, and they got along very well. She was his favorite. He had a lot of little girlfriends, so I guess it's just one proof. But anyway, Alice was his favorite, and he had told her and her sisters rather a story when they went out on a boat, and told him that's Alice Wonderland story, and she loved it. She told him like, "Oh, please write it down, and give it to me," which he did, and then eventually it got to a publisher, and he read it, and he's like, "We need to publish this." So that's eventually what happened, and as life went on, Lewis Carroll sort of wrote more and more poems. He wrote more sequels to this Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, and he wrote many other different poems. One of his most famous poems was called Jabberwocky, which is it's called a nonsense poem because the literature and the language in it is basically nonsense. It looks like gibberish. However, underneath it all is very meaningful, and actually has a very good values and a strong reason, or rather, it's a good life lesson. That's what I'm trying to say. Anyway, he grew up, and nothing really too exciting. He has a very uneventful life. He went on to die on January 14th. He had a very bad case of pneumonia, and unfortunately passed away. So that's the life of Lewis Carroll. He's also known as Charles Ludwig Dodgson. Should have mentioned that in the beginning, but his pen name is Lewis Carroll. So anyway, that's it, and yep.